Can't decide and torn between a romantic, comedy, action, or an indie film to watch for the weekend? Well. Golden State Media Concepts Movie Podcast is your ultimate guide to the latest movies. Join us as we dissect the latest on the blockbusters. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Movie Podcast. GSMC Movie Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Keith, and this is my co-host, Cynthia.
Hey, guys. Why'd you say it like that? Hey, guys.
You said that
right.
I needed to be the one to bring the energy, so I'm just bringing a very specific type.
A different energy today.
Energy. Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
I told you to
late night DJ energy.
I was just gonna say. I was literally gonna say, I'm like, that's like your late night voice for sure.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Feel free to call in to our hotline to.
Oh my God.
Talk about what really grinds your gears.
Many things. Okay. Let's start off, Keith. I want you to share with the people what happened to you over the weekend, because it's kind of funny. It kind of sucks.
I don't know if I'd call it funny in any capacity. So you know how like your kneecap is supposed to be in one spot on your leg?
Right.
Have you ever had it not be in that spot?
Almost, yeah, but no.
Okay, so mine definitely was not in that spot for a brief moment on Sunday. AKA, I dislocated my kneecap while playing adult softball.
Ouch.
Because I am a coordinated and athletic individual over 6'4". Or wait, no, over 6'2". I'm 6'4". Mm-hmm. So, anyway. Yeah, I dislocated my kneecap. I was gonna wait to show you the pictures until we were like on air. Not pictures of the dislocated kneecap, by the way. So just so y'all know, it went out and went right back in. It's not like it was out and I was like, my kneecap is not in place. I'm gonna take a picture. LOL. It was like, crap, my kneecap is not where it's supposed to be. Straighten my leg out and hope it goes back to where it should. And it did. But the bruising on it is gnarly.
Yeah, it is. It almost looked like when you first showed me the picture, it looks like you fell off a motorcycle for some reason. That's like the thought. Like it almost looks like you got scraped, but those are like your blood. I wish we could show them. It's like
they don't want to see that.
Some may do. We just need to put like
link in the show notes.
Right, link in the show notes, like, and then have like a tab open that's like, "Are you over the age of 18?" Just to make sure.
Yeah, sure. No, it definitely. I've seen bruising like this on several different injuries. I love football, so sometimes football players will post like, "Oh, this is what it looks like when you get, rocked by a safety across the middle," but like. I don't know. It usually looks like this, but I did not do anything near as cool as like catch a football for a first down in a game where like, I was getting paid millions of dollars to do it. It was like me and some people that I know and like playing softball, and I swung the bat and my knee bent awkwardly, and I not only dislocated my knee, I sprained my ankle at the same time. So
on the same leg.
Yeah, on the same. Well, of course, on the same leg. No, As we've mentioned, my girlfriend is NASM certified, so she just studied a bunch of this stuff. And like, you're also NASM certified, so you are familiar. My ankle mobility is non-existent.
Oh,
and my feet are all sorts of funked up.
Funked up.
Yes. Like I think I had bunions at some point.
Oh, I think you told me. We had a conversation about this before, right?
Because I've been wearing shoes that were too small and my feet are weird. So like, anyway, all that to say, I've had a lot of lower body issues for the last like 3 to 4 months, which have been all very frustrating. So I've been pretty much perpetually limping on one side or the other for the last like 3 months, literally the last 3 months. First it was my left leg, and then it was my right leg, and then for a brief moment, both feet hurt pretty badly. And then that went away for about 2 weeks, and then it came back for about a week, and then a few days later, this happened. So all that to say, stay in shape, people. If you go to the gym regularly, keep going. Don't stop like
for
me.
sure.
Yeah.
And not only just going to the gym, but like stretching. Also that. Like,
what is stretching?
Stretching.
Stretching?
Did I say it weird?
Not familiar with that. Is stretching similar to the yoga?
I mean, that's a form of stretching. There's like, I mean, not to get too like, if you want to listen to all those, you can go to my health and wellness podcast. That's
shameless plug.
Right, shameless plug.
We're gonna put hashtag shameless plug in the description.
I know, just so you guys know where to find me.
Yeah, and if you want to hear about speculative science fiction and philosophy of storytelling, then you could go listen to my podcast on science fiction.
Another shameless plug.
Hashtag shameless plug.
Right.
So they're doing that.
Exactly. But actually yoga can be a form of stretching if you don't like to just like hold a stretch. AKA like static stretching. That's just like when you hold it. If you don't like doing that, you could do yoga.
I feel like we've used AKA too frequently.
Have we? Or maybe you have. I haven't.
I did. I don't know.
Not in today's show.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go back and listen to it. Hold on 1 second. Okay, totally went back and listened to it. Didn't just pause for a second. I didn't hear us use AKA. It just feels like we're using it too often.
No.
Also, that look was pretty funny.
My look right now?
The one you gave me, and I was like, I'm going to pause this and listen to it.
Well, I was
you're
like pretending.
I know you're not going to do that.
Well, absolutely not. We don't have time. We don't have time right now. We got to talk about this new movie that just came out.
Sonic the Hedgehog, which I finally saw.
Wait, did you?
No.
You are so rude. Wow.
I'm really
okay.
sorry. I'm probably going to go see it this weekend. I am really excited.
For all of the new listeners, Keith, okay, we talked about this movie back in December. Do you remember that? Like the first time we mentioned the movie, Sonic the Hedgehog, we mentioned
they did the redesign on the character.
Yeah, we talked about it in December. This movie, you guys, came out in February. He had 2 months to prep from December to February to figure out a date to go watch this movie because he's been raving about it, saying how excited he's gonna go see it. And what day is it today? Well, actually, March 4th.
It is
March 4th, and a month later, and you still have not seen it. I'm kind of disappointed.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disappoint you.
It's okay. I'm not that disappointed,
okay,
but
that's good.
But I mean, I want to hear your opinion on this because you were super hyped.
That's true.
I mean, I'm sure you still are, but
I'm probably going to hate it. That's just usually how things go for me. If I'm really excited about something, I end up sitting down, watching it, and being like, why was I ever excited about this in the first place? Also, why do I ever get excited about anything? Because everything just lets me down. Well,
maybe, you know what? You just got to go into things without expectations.
That I'm going to get let down?
So, yeah, exactly. Because if you have too high of expectations and they're not met, that's how you get let down. You're disappointed. Yeah. You just got to go with the flow. Enjoy. That's my motto in life, man.
Okay.
Well, I'll try to live by that.
I will do my best to go into it with reasonable expectations that I will not need, or that I won't be blown away, and that it will just be a decent and enjoyable movie. And that will probably still disappoint me because I want it to blow me away, and I can't let go of those expectations. I don't know how you can possibly do that.
I definitely can.
Yeah.
It's just let loose. I'm like, all right. Let's just see what this is about.
I'm just a flying spaghetti monster.
Spaghetti monster. I was thinking like fairy for some reason when you did that right now.
Oh, a fairy. I waved my arms around and she
I know.
fairy.
I wish we could like almost record these because they need to like see our expressions and like the weird things that go on behind
I think
all
people
our
would
gestures.
Be generally surprised about how like there are times we'll go almost an entire podcast without even looking at each other. Which I think is funny because like when I first applied, when we first started doing these and I did my audition, they were like, don't look at me when I did the audition because I was co-hosting with Sarah. So Sarah is our boss. She hosts several other GSMC podcasts. She's awesome. But I looked at her while I was practicing and she's like, don't look at me. You don't look at your co-host. So I have like a really hard time with the fact that like you're right here and it's like
actually
always, like,
well for one is also like just talking into the mic, so it makes sense. I had that same issue as well with my audition. I was like talking to her and I was facing her because I'm like I'm having a conversation with you, like I'm trying to make eye contact. And same thing, she's like, you don't look at me. I'm like, oh, okay. So but I feel like we do a pretty good like when I'm not speaking I'll kind of turn and then vice versa. But anyway, this is like not really related to movies.
No, we should keep talking about other things.
What?
Yeah.
No, I have
We're
something.
like literally 9 minutes in. Like, 10 minutes in? Why would we stop now?
About what?
Just talking about things.
No, but something really funny I need to mention because you were saying like how our voices, like I wonder what people kind of visualize us as.
Somebody give us a review. I'm super.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I need to see it.
Oh, okay. Anyway,
I need to see it.
What were you going to
say? No,
say?
but have you heard of this show? It's on Netflix. It's new. Love is Blind.
Oh my god! Yeah, it's supposed to be like
it's like a new unorthodox,
yeah.
like unorthodox way of like dating, and like it's these people who go into these dates, never see each other, and fall in love with never ever laying eyes on.
Air quotes on fall in love. It's definitely not potentially scripted because it definitely isn't a reality show. It's like people who think The Bachelor is real. Like The Bachelor is like 99% scripted, and it's just hilarious how effectively they can like script or cause sleep
But I
deprivation.
love reality TV. I'm a sucker for reality TV. I know.
Oh yeah, I have a group of people I watch The Bachelor with. I hate it. I hate
I
every
don't.
moment
Okay,
of it.
I don't like The Bachelor. I like. This is not the TV podcast, but
we'll mention it.
No, just growing
it's a visual
up.
Medium.
Growing up, I watched very inappropriate shows like Bad Girls Club, which is like
I don't even know what that is.
Oh my god. Okay, it used to play on MTV, and it's. Pretty much they put all these crazy girls into a house and they just start conflict. Like the whole point of the show is that they fight each other and like throw their stuff and like in the pool and
That's
like
great.
Literally, oh my god, it's quite hilarious.
It's trash TV.
Oh, for sure, but it's like it's such an important part of my childhood.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that you think we've covered enough stuff. We can actually get to the subject matter today.
I know. We kind of went like on 5 different like topics right now.
That sounds like a great TV show, and I do want to talk more about it, maybe off air. But let's get to the first thing that we're going to talk about for movies right after we get through this commercial break.
Want to know the latest and hottest music hitting the airwaves? Don't be left out. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Music Podcast. Keith keeps you on the loop with everything you need to know from pop, rock, hip-hop, and the top 40. And we'll throw in news of your favorite artists, concert and tour dates, and so much more. Listen no further, because this is the gold standard in music podcast.
Guys, and welcome back to GSMC
I just
movie
realized
podcast.
Why you looked at me. Yeah,
I know.
I
laughed.
was interrupt you.
I know. Okay, so that's why I like kind of like laughed because I was looking at you. I thought you were gonna like you're waiting. You have the stance right now.
Yeah.
The position is like I'm ready to jump in and interrupt. So that's why I was like waiting for it.
No, not this time.
Not this time. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I hope you all enjoyed the first 12 minutes of us talking about.
You're so welcome, by the way.
Nothing. Oh yeah, thanks.
Also,
thanks.
To everybody listening, you are welcome for 12 minutes of wonderful conversation.
Period.
That's it.
Yep.
We're moving on.
Moving on.
So we're talking about a trailer this week for a movie that I'm super excited about.
Are you actually?
Yeah, we talked about it. We talked about this movie a few weeks ago.
Did we?
I'm pretty sure we mentioned it in like things that we were excited for next year.
The Invisible Man?
I think we mentioned it. I may have mentioned it on the Sci-Fi podcast. Regardless.
Right. I was like, I don't think we did.
Super hype on this movie. I'm probably going to go see it with my friends.
I'm so happy you said that. I'm actually surprised because I feel like you're such a tough critic when it comes to trailers and like we just mentioned this. You have high expectations.
Yes.
And when they're not met, you have high standards, then you're often
I question
let down.
my existence, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Casual
but no,
existential
so
crisis.
I'm actually really surprised, but like in a good way that you're saying you're excited to see The Invisible Man because I am too.
Yeah.
And so far, critics are loving it. The reviews are great.
Oh, the trailer's incredible. It's like so
I got so much anxiety.
terrifying.
Right.
Oh, it's so good.
Let's
they
give them.
kind of watered it down. The second trailer that they made for it, they watered it down a little bit. But the first trailer was like, I'm on the edge of my seat. Like, what's happening? Is he really there?
We
like,
might have seen the same one because I literally like I don't like when scenes, especially in like horror thriller films, like when there's just dead silence, like that brings too much anxiety. Yeah. I have to like literally when I'm like watching a movie, I have to like cover my eyes, but I'll leave like a little peephole. Like I said, I'm not like a huge like horror fan film, but I'm so excited to see The Invisible Man. Like this is for sure one I want to see in theaters.
No, I'm gonna go probably sometime this week and watch it. So I am really excited about it. I've been excited about it since I heard that it was coming out. Yeah.
Okay, so The Invisible Man, for those of you who have never heard of this movie, it actually just released February 28th. So
it's already out.
Yeah, it's already out.
I didn't know that.
And I'm going to share with you guys the synopsis of this horror movie. And it goes, a crazed scientist uses his power to become invisible to stalk and terrorize his ex-girlfriend. When Cecilia's abusive ex takes his own life and leaves her his fortune, she suspects his death was a hoax. As a series of coincidences turned lethal, Cecilia works to prove that she is being hunted by someone nobody can see. So her ex-boyfriend's trying to kill her, right? Invisible.
I think that's part of it. So if you watch the trailer, the condition to her receiving his fortune, which like it's not his entire fortune. Like if you look at the dude's house in the movie, the lawyer's like, you're going to receive $500,000. Like
I think we watched different trailers.
Much. They may have changed the amount. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I didn't see that.
Regardless, he says it's conditional upon you being proven to be sane because, that's what the lawyer says in the meeting. So the point is that he puts this like carrot in front of her of like, you're going to get all this money if you stay sane. And then he apparently is invisible and does things to terrorize her. And I don't think that he's actually, because like if he was invisible, he'd just kill her and be done with it. I think the point is more of like the psychological warfare,
right?
The control and like abuse that he can levy on her. Which, in thinking about it, that's a pretty twisted movie premise. And I feel kind of bad for being super excited about watching an abusive relationship be played out in some sort of weird, like controller-ish fantasy. But it just seems like an interesting premise.
Oh, for sure.
I mostly just like it because I'm a huge fan of the original short story, The Invisible Man, by H.G. Wells. And this more like modern day interpretation and telling of it seems really intriguing.
So there's a prior movie to
this?
It's
a book that came out in like the early 1900s called The Invisible Man.
How did you even get a hold of that book?
They republish things that come out.
True.
Yeah. So like, I'm a super nerd. So like, I've read that book.
Okay.
So it's pretty good. You should. I mean, it's really short. You could probably get through it.
You know when it comes to books, like I love to read as well, but I can't read fiction. Like for some reason, if it comes to a story that's fiction, I have to watch it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I'm more visual.
I don't know if they did an original, like a film based on the original Invisible Man. They may have. I'm not sure off the top of my head. So, but it's definitely worth looking into. I know the Invisible Man is also a character in a series of comic books, and he's based off of the same character that H.G. Wells wrote. So that's all pretty cool. So who directed this movie? So
the director is Leigh Whannell. Hope I'm saying his name right. Leigh Whannell. There we go. You added more pizzazz to that.
Yeah. Put the H before the W.
So Leigh Whannell. He also directed other horror movies like Insidious and Saw.
Right.
So,
which is part of the reason why I'm extra excited.
Right. Yeah, me too. I mean, I think I've seen Insidious and Saw. I don't know which one.
I've seen Insidious.
I don't remember. I feel like they're almost all kind of the same to me, or maybe my eyes are shut for half the movie that I just like don't remember because I'm just like that terrified.
I wouldn't be surprised if they were a similar plot line. Like torture,
the psychological horror aspect for sure.
Yeah.
And then the cast includes Elizabeth Moss, Oliver Jackson Cohen, Harriet Dyer, Aldous Hodge, Storm Reed, and others, but those are the main characters. So overall, it seems super excited to watch this movie. I didn't realize that it just came out in theaters, but now that I know, I'm going to have to make time for it because I'm definitely intrigued. And I think I'm more interested because I was reading reviews and everyone's just loving it. And it's really hard I feel like when it comes to the genre of horror, it's really hard to be highly rated because there's just so many elements to what makes a good horror movie.
Well, and not just that, but like usually it's very like linear and like there's certain things that you're going to expect and the tropes are pretty standard. So it's kind of hard to deviate from that original like equation of what makes a like commercially successful horror film. So like it's not that often that you're going to run into something that does something or a movie that does something really interesting because that's just not usually in the MO of people who are making horror films. You know, does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah. I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah.
It's doing pretty well on Rotten Tomatoes, right?
It is 91%. I know like that's not like the best tool to use.
I mean, I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes. But 91%. I had like a 5-minute diatribe where I hated on Rotten Tomatoes.
You did. But I still wanted to include it just so you could see it.
Because some people think of it as being a place where you can find
quality reviews. I know a lot of my friends, a lot of people in general go to Rotten Tomatoes to look at reviews. So that's why I mention it. I personally don't, but
I don't trust any large market reviewing agency or group because I think those results are always going to be kind of tainted. So
for sure, yeah.
Plus, usually when a lot of people like something, I have a tendency to not like it. Not only on principle, but because it raises my expectations of that thing that other people liked it, and then I feel
like
weird.
Parasite?
And then I feel weird and alienated when I don't like it because it's like everybody else liked it. Why doesn't Keith like it? What makes Keith so special? It's like I just didn't like it, guys. It's okay for me to be like,
it's an opinion.
Yeah, it's an opinion. So what's funny? I thought I saw somewhere that like this movie was not expected to do well. Like when I first started looking up trailers for it, like back in last year, it was actually hard to find a trailer for it.
Really?
It was not like readily available. And I think that, I don't know what studio is distributing it, but it definitely was not like top of mind for people as like a blockbuster movie. So I think that they did like a reassessment of like the marketing approach and all of those things prior to like, or when it got closer to the release time, because they were trying to like turn a buck on it. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it does well for him.
I know. We shall see. So yeah, I'm definitely going to try and see this movie. Not sure when, but it's on my list for sure.
Yeah.
And let's move on to another topic here.
What else are we talking about this week?
Well, this is a lengthy one that I'm super excited for. So I found this really cool article and it showed all of these super interesting facts, the behind the scenes of how this iconic movie was put together. The Devil Wears Prada. For sure, hands down, one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's because Meryl Streep, like I'm a huge Meryl Streep fan, and as well as Anne Hathaway, like I don't know. I really, really like The Devil Wears Prada. There's so many
I'm
funny
kind of surprised
lines.
This is one of your favorites.
It is.
You've said in the past that you are a big fan of like action movies.
I am a fan of action movies. I'd say that's like one of my favorite genres for sure. But The Devil Wears Prada, I mean, obviously is definitely not action. That's fashion. And I don't know. I just think I like the storyline.
Yeah.
I like the actors in the movie.
Oh, the acting is A+.
A+. And like, I like the storyline. Like, I feel like there's not that many movies out there that are centered around the fashion industry, magazine industry.
Sure.
And like, I don't know. I just, for some reason, The Devil Wears Prada is like a movie that's always, I can watch that movie over and over again and never get sick of it. But that's not to say that there's other, or just because action movies are my favorite genre.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't know.
You can like other things.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say.
But we'll get more into that discussion right after this quick commercial break.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to GSMC Movie Podcast. We're going to get straight into all of these interesting facts, things you never knew about The Devil Wears Prada, because we have a lot of interesting facts for you guys. So get ready and listen up. First things first, this movie is based on a true story. So the movie is based on a book written by Lauren Weisberger, which she was the former assistant to the editor-in-chief of Vogue magazine, Anna Wintour. You know who Anna Wintour is?
Sounds familiar.
She's the editor-in-chief of Vogue. I just said it. I was trying to quiz you.
Is she currently the editor-in-chief?
Yeah, currently. Oh. Currently. So this is based.
She's been there for a while.
Yes. She's an OG. When you think of Anna Wintour.
She's an OG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's an OG. So that's the one thing. That's a lot of these facts I'm going to bring up. Actually all of these facts I didn't know any. So that's why I wanted to share it on today's podcast, because I'm sure, I know there's many people out there who also love this movie. All of my friends, we all really like this movie. And I know this would be some interesting things that a lot of people would enjoy. And then the next thing is many studios fought over the rights to the book. So before the book hit the shelves in 2003, many studios were fighting over the rights to turn it into a movie. Originally, at that time, the book only had 100 pages.
Wow.
And I know, which is not a lot, right?
As a writer, that's got to feel so good. You're like, I'm only 100 pages in, and people are already like, we want to make a movie out of
right?
this.
People are truly believe in the book, premise, right? Yeah. And so Fox is the studio that ended up getting the rights for the movie.
Disney now.
Yeah, now Disney. Disney owns everyone's life at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll probably get busted up by the Supreme Court, but that's neither here nor there.
Right. We'll see.
Yeah.
So that was something also really interesting. But again, I'm not surprised because the movie's amazing, and how you said it's just really surprising that only 100 pages in and all these studios are like, we want to buy the rights. We want to buy the rights. So
yeah, really.
It's great. Okay, next thing. Wait, first of all, I didn't even ask you, Keith.
What?
Have you seen The Devil Wears Prada?
Of course I have.
Okay.
I have 3 little sisters. You know that I've seen The Devil Wears Prada.
I did not know you had 3. I knew you had one, Haley, right?
Yeah, Haley, the one who also likes Beyonce and Summer
Yes,
Walker.
that's why we're going to be good friends. Okay, I didn't know you had 3 little sisters, but that's good to know.
Yeah.
So, okay, I just had to check that you've watched the movie.
Hermanas.
Tres Hermanas, yes. Yeah. There we go.
Sorry, I should. Tres Hermanas.
There we go.
Say it correctly.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Next interesting fact. Casting Miranda Priestley's kids was extremely difficult. So if you guys remember in the movie, Miranda Priestley had twins as her daughters, and the crew went through hundreds of twins before they found the right pair of the roles. And I thought this was kind of interesting because that's kind of in the back of my mind, how movie or casting crews are able to find twins that are actors, especially children that are twins and actors.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's why I really like learning or going in the behind the scenes of how movies are put together and made, and that's why I'm just super excited to talk about all of these interesting facts. But yeah, I just wanted to include that there. Next interesting thing here. So Thomas Lennon was originally offered the role of Nigel.
Who was Nigel again?
No, so Nigel is the guy. So Anne Hathaway's character, her name's Andy.
Yeah.
Nigel is the guy who also works in that magazine company with her and is like her bestie, like helping her out.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. In the movie, it's the bald guy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but Thomas Lennon, he's like, he does a lot of comedy. Mm-hmm. And I feel like he would have been perfect for this role just because he's super expressive. I can't think off the top of my mind right now what other like movies and shows he's been on because he's been in many, but he had to turn down the offer to play the role of Nigel because he was also filming Reno 9/11.
911.
Or 911.
Reno 911.
Yeah, 911.
It's a comedy show. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
No, I feel like I've seen like, I don't know how you say it, GIFs or GIFs.
Yeah, GIFs.
I know.
It, yeah.
Anyway, so I think that's where I've seen it. Mm-hmm. And then another interesting thing here that I love, this made me like Meryl Streep even more. So originally Meryl Streep refused to play the role of Miranda Priestley unless they raised her salary. She said, show me the money before I show up to work. Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like impressive.
She makes that movie really like.
Oh, for sure.
If it wasn't for her performance, like we're probably not talking about this today.
Well, actually the directors, also said that when they originally were like thinking of like who to cast in as Miranda Priestley, they said it has to be Meryl Streep. Like no one else came to mind but her. So that's good.
Makes sense.
She said, pay me more, show me the money, show me the zeros at the end of that check, and I'll show up to set tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I loved that. And then another interesting fact here. The team wanted Rachel McAdams to play Anne Hathaway's role of Andy. So Rachel McAdams, this was right after her major
success. Is she the Capital One commercial lady? Is that Rachel McAdams?
No, she's in The Notebook and Mean Girls.
Yes, she's the Capital One.
Is she?
She says, "What's in your wallet?" No, she's.
Are you sure that's her? That could be someone that looks like her.
No, it's definitely her.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
So
she's great.
Yeah, Rachel McAdams. I felt like that would have been a good pick as well as Anne Hathaway's character.
Yeah, but I like Anne Hathaway better.
Me too. Now that I've seen Anne Hathaway and like her dynamic with Meryl Streep, I'm like, I don't know if Rachel McAdams would have.
Well, not just that. I just like Anne Hathaway as an actress better.
Do you?
Yeah. I mean, like, imagine if Rachel McAdams had played Mia Maltanova instead of Anne Hathaway. Like,
no.
Not
I
happening.
said, yeah.
Yeah. She is the princess of the Princess Diaries.
Period.
Yeah.
So, but that would have been interesting. I don't know. It's always just like, I always like to just think like
what ifs?
What ifs? A lot of what ifs, man.
Like what if Sean Connery had played Gandalf in Lord of the Rings? Like
I've never watched Lord of the Rings.
Oh, well, they originally went after Sean Connery for the role of Gandalf in Lord of the Rings, and it
definitely would change the narrative a lot.
Oh,
just how the story's told. And then next thing, so to prepare for the role, Anne Hathaway volunteered as an assistant, like in real life.
Oh, wow.
Because in the movie she plays
the executive assistant of Meryl Streep's character.
Right. So for Anne to get that real life experience, she volunteered at an auction house as an assistant. I don't know for how long, but she did that to get more into character. And then next thing, a little interesting fact here. In The Devil Wears Prada, this was the third time Anne's character's best friend was named Lily. So if you remember in movies like Ella Enchanted and The Princess Diaries, her best
mentioned.
Yeah, right.
her best friend is named Lily. Yeah.
Which, okay, sidetrack a little bit. I always think, you know how in sports there's stats for every single player, team, coach, etc. for like anything.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me how there's like a stat for this. Like, how many best friends does Anne Hathaway have named Lily? Like, who takes note of these things? So I thought that was just pretty comical when I first read that. I was like, who keeps track of these things?
Oh, yeah, who's
in charge?
Monitoring this data to see.
Right. So that was just like super random to me. Next thing here. The team struggled to find an apartment in Manhattan to use as the set of Miranda's home. So obviously we know New York, super crowded. Mm-hmm. ultimately, the townhouse that was used as Miranda Priestley's home belonged to a friend of the producer. So that's where the location was shot, when all the shots of Miranda's home were in the producer's friend's house.
Oh, wow.
So
that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they probably saved a lot of money on the budget there.
Well, speaking of budget, I'm actually going to go to my very last thing here.
But we'll go back. Don't worry. There's more facts.
Yeah. They actually had a very low budget to work with throughout the film. Like, so low to the point that the crew didn't fly Meryl Streep out to Paris.
Wow.
And in the movie, if you guys see, a lot of towards the end of the movie, there are certain scenes that are filmed in Paris. And Anne Hathaway and, not Thomas Lennon, Stanley Tucci, he plays Nigel, they actually were flown out to Paris and were filmed there. And all of the scenes that seem like Meryl Streep is there, they were actually shot in the U.S. They didn't fly Meryl Streep. They didn't fly Meryl Streep because they thought she'd be too expensive to fly out to Paris.
Wow.
So because,
can you imagine that being like a thing? Like, we would send Cynthia to this place, but like, we know that she's too expensive to send to this place. Like, that's crazy.
She did say, like, I'm not playing this movie unless you give me, unless you show me the money,
more.
right?
Yeah.
So, regardless, the film's budget was $41 million, and it went on to earn $326 million in box office sales.
Wait,
so.
it just in box office? Mm-hmm. Holy cow!
Right, so
Whoa.
They earned almost 8 times what it cost to make.
Dang!
Right,
that's crazy.
I know. So it's just crazy, like with like the very low budget they had, which I'm surprised they had a very low budget for this film. But that just makes it even more impressive. With the outcome, the movie's great. So I'm very, very pleased with everything.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to some more facts right after we take another quick commercial break.
Watching TV has changed over time. Streaming has become the new norm. That's why Golden State Media Concepts television podcast dives headfirst to the world of cord cutting. Want to be on the loop of what's hot in Netflix? Or if it's not a preference, what about original shows in Hulu? We've got you covered. Join us as we fill in the blanks and talk about movies to stream and what show you should be binging. This is the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast.
Welcome back to GSMC Movie Podcast.
Do you ever just want to like sing along with the commercial?
A little bit, like hum.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm not like great with the tunes. Like I feel like in my mind I like can hum well, but even my humming's pretty terrible.
I would be surprised if that were true. It's hard to have a bad hum.
Or I feel like maybe I wouldn't be on beat.
Yeah. Staying on tempo is definitely something that most people have a pretty, they have an issue with doing that.
Right.
So,
All right. Let's finish up these things that these people did not know about The Devil Wears Prada. I just got a few more here. And
these are all super interesting, by the way.
I hope so. Because like these are, like I said, I like learning the behind the scenes of how a movie's put together.
Yeah.
And so the cost of the costumes was $1 million.
That's wow.
So
wow,
they spent a pretty penny, a big portion of their budget on just costumes. But I mean, that makes sense. It has to do with fashion. So they obviously need the characters all to look their best and spiffy.
Yeah.
Patricia Field was the designer for all the outfits, and
that's cool.
All the pieces came from major designers like Valentino, Prada, of course, and so on. Speaking of Valentino was the only designer who made an appearance in the movie. So, which was actually kind of shocking for me to find out because, again, this is a movie about fashion, you would think, oh, well, we're in Paris. You know, it's kind of like where a lot of fashion designers are located as well. You would think they would invite other designers on the show or on the movie, but here's why. Some speculate, there's all speculation, that Anna Wintour threatened those designers to ban any designers who made an appearance from being featured in the pages of Vogue.
Wait, why would Anna Wintour do that?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. That's all speculation.
Because she's the villain in the movie. Anna Wintour is the...
Right. That's who Meryl Streep is
playing. Yeah, and it's supposed to be like... Yeah,
So she probably feels some type of way like, so again, this is all speculation.
That's fair. I could understand her being a little upset about that.
Right. Like,
I mean, imagine if someone wrote a movie and it was like, it's about this person who worked for you and you happen to be the worst person on the planet.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that would suck, right? Or
is
that
there
would just
anything endearing about me in the story? No, almost absolutely not.
I know, right? Yeah. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So, it's not 100% confirmed, but
of course, yeah.
and it would make sense because literally Valentino was the only one who showed up. And then last but not least, there's actually something really interesting. Meryl Streep didn't try to impersonate Anna Wintour, but rather Clint Eastwood.
So she didn't like call Anna Wintour up and be like, hey, can I follow you around for a little while?
Right. Let me see what your day-to-day activities look like.
Or like interview people who knew her type of a thing. Yeah.
Right. No, absolutely not. Which that kind of like threw me for a loop because you would think like, oh, I'm playing a life or I'm playing the role of this person.
I should.
Based on a book. Right. It's based on a book about you and no contact with her whatsoever. She says she tried to impersonate Clint Eastwood. And this is what Meryl Streep had to say. The voice I got from Clint Eastwood. He never, ever, ever raises his voice and everyone has to lean in to listen. And he is automatically the most powerful person in the room. Which is, have you seen movies starring Clint Eastwood?
Probably. I don't remember any
I can't
specifics.
think of like, I just watched one recently actually. It's on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
I can't think of the name of the movie on the top of my head right now, but I love Clint Eastwood as well. And it's true. Like he's very like soft spoken.
Yeah.
But stern at the same time.
Yeah, well, he does all those cowboy movies, so
right.
That's probably part of like the point of that is that he's like the antithesis to the villain, who's like this loud, boisterous. I'm trying really hard to get everyone to pay attention to me, and then Clint Eastwood walks in and is like, I don't know, like the silent protagonist, just like, you know.
Right. So I thought that was interesting. So I'm like, oh, like totally someone I would have never in a million years imagined she would try to kind of copy.
Yeah.
So I thought acting is truly art. It really is.
Absolutely.
It's so amazing. I'm just so like amazed by it all.
Yeah. And speaking of actors and actresses and acting, since we're on this like kick of talking about The Devil Wears Prada, which is like one of the highlights of Meryl Streep's career, I wanted to kind of like bring up another film that Meryl Streep had a pretty pivotal role in. And that movie is called Adaptation. It stars her and Nicolas Cage mainly. So I assume you have not seen this film?
No.
Yeah. I already knew that you didn't. I just wanted to ask you on the podcast.
Right.
Yeah. We watched the trailer, which like a lot of the movies that I really love, the trailer does not do
make
any
sense.
Justice. Yeah.
I'm always left with a big question mark. I'm like, what's not clicking for me?
No, and it's supposed to do that.
Okay.
Because like ultimately that's what these movies are about, is about questioning things. So
I feel that's kind of what you like though.
Yeah, I do really like that. So Adaptation, the plot synopsis is this. So while his latest movie, being John Malkovich, is in production, screenwriter Charlie Kaufman is hired by Valerie Thomas to adapt Susan Orlean's nonfiction book, The Orchid Thief, as a screenplay. Thomas bought the movie rights before Orlean wrote the book, when it was only an article in The New Yorker. The book details the story of rare orchid hunter John LaRoche, whose passion for orchids and horticulture made Orlean discover passion and beauty for the first time in her life. Charlie wants to be faithful to the book in his adaptation, but despite LaRoche himself being an interesting character in his own right, Charlie is having difficulty finding enough material in LaRoche to fill a movie, while equally not having enough to say cinematically about the beauty of orchids. At the same time, Charlie is going through other issues in his life. His insecurity as a person doesn't allow him to act upon his feelings for Amelia Cavan, who is interested in him as a man, and Charlie's twin. So it's definitely like complex and like weird. The relationships between individual characters are kind of difficult to understand. It jumps around in the timeline of like the film overall. So like one moment you're at this point in the story, and the next you're at this point in the story, and then it goes back. So like it definitely gets a little confusing. And then there are like sequences that are supposed to be like not real, if I remember correctly, but they feel real. So it's hard to kind of like know exactly what's happening. It's definitely one of those like, I don't know, intellectual people movies, quote unquote, is what I would call it.
So this is a movie that like you can't be like on your phone, like
no.
You know those movies that's like you can like play in the background and still keep up.
No, this is not a background movie. This is kind of like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It's kind of like along those same lines where it's like it's very, you have to be engaged with it in order to know what's going on, which I really appreciate. I'm a big fan of stuff like that, which is part of why I like this movie. It came out in 2002. And I think that it's just a really good movie. It kind of examines like the creative struggle that individuals face, and it's kind of also got like a whodunit mystery that forces the viewer to re-examine what they believe to be important and how individuals value themselves. So there's definitely a lot to be had in this movie, and I really, really enjoy it. Meryl Streep is excellent, as usual. And the guy who plays the orchid hunter, who plays John LaRoche, is also he's a riot. So that's super fun. And Nicolas Cage is Nicolas Cage in this movie.
Know.
He pretty much plays himself in like everything.
Right.
Yeah, he's a good actor. He gets the job done.
He does.
Nicolas Cage is like a budget Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey is like a budget, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a better actor than Matthew McConaughey. There's a lot of them. Anyway.
There's a lot. Shade, man. Shade.
I mean, come on. How many Lincoln commercials do we have to watch? Like,
I know.
I'm doing the thing.
He's getting that money. He's getting that check.
Yeah. Oh, the last one was hilarious where he's like ice fishing out of the back of a Lincoln. Like, it made sense. I was dying.
That's funny.
I think that they're just leaning hard into like the meme culture surrounding that. Anyway,
right.
We're totally off topic here. I recommend this movie. You should check it out. I think it's pretty good. It met my expectations. So.
Oh, and those are high. We all know that.
Yeah. So you should check it out and let me know your thoughts.
And
everyone should check it out and let me know. What?
Wow. You said what? No,
what?
I just.
What?
I don't know. I just wasn't like that. I think that the trailer didn't do it for me.
That's
personally.
Fine. I understand.
But I like
I get it. Some people have good taste and some people have bad taste.
Oh, like that.
Yeah.
What happened to is just an opinion.
Well, it is just an opinion. It's also just some people's
I could
opinions
say you
aren't
have
as
bad
good as
taste.
others.
I could say you have bad taste because you don't like Beyonce.
Well,
that is bad taste.
We can talk about that on the music podcast.
Actually,
this
though,
is the movie podcast.
I know. So you guys are going to want to hear us have a heated discussion now. We're about to get into it in the music podcast.
Yeah,
we're going to do right now.
We're literally just going to stop right now. Just kidding.
I know, right? They'd be like, what? Okay.
Should have kept that pause a little bit longer.
I know, huh?
Yeah, that would have been fun.
I would have tried to sit it out for as long as I can. A little bit.
That would have been great. People would have been like pausing and looking like, why is there 30 seconds left? Or why are there 30 seconds left to this podcast?
Right.
So that's all we've got for you guys this week. Wow, voice crack. That's all we've got for you guys this week. So definitely leave some comments for us. Like and subscribe. Give us 5-star reviews.
Share with your cousin, your auntie, uncle, sister, brother, mom, dad, boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever relationship you feel comfortable.
Right. Situationship person.
Situationship?
Situationship.
Okay.
It's a situation. That's it.
Okay. Well, thanks again for checking in, guys. And we will see you next week. Well, talk to you next week.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Movie Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.